I have a really strange relationship with Call of Duty, and it's been so up and down the whole time I've played the series. Whether I've been constantly invested or I've just had that bit of a break and then come and jump back into it, it's been a real roller coaster. And I thought in this video I'd just go through my history of Call of Duty, the different games that I played, when I played them, and also what I feel about this series now. Taking a trip back in history, back to 2007, bear in mind I was 10 years old, my first ever Call of Duty game was Call of Duty 3, and that was on the PS3 as well. And I just remember I only played the single player. I wasn't playing multiplayer at this point. I wasn't even old enough to have a PSN account for a start, but also I was playing downstairs on a big TV, so I only got limited time to play it. And online really wasn't an option. But I remember playing that campaign and being amazed by the different features that the PS3 had. And at that time, and my biggest memory is the fight that you can see on screen with the 6-axis functionality, where you actually like move the controller and swing the controller and then press a couple of buttons to do some finishing moves. And it's one of my fondest memories of Call of Duty, and it's really, really weird, but when I was using that controller and doing all the motions, I actually ended up punching myself in the face, which is random, I know, but I was full on putting effort into those movements. Remember, I was 10, okay? I'm going to do it over the top. And it's one of the things that I remember about the Call of Duty series. And Call of Duty 3, from my memory anyway, I can't remember if I finished the whole campaign, but I know that it really started to impress me when it comes to first-person shooters. At this point, I played a lot of like third-person adventure action games, and up until this point as well, I hadn't played a load of first-person shooter games. I think the only other one that I'd really played is like Halo 1 and 2 on the original Xbox. And when I got to this era in time, I hadn't really been invested in first-person shooters. And then came COD 4, which for a lot of people is actually the first integration into the multiplayer world, and where they spent most of their time in multiplayer lobbies, and where it kind of really kick-started COD for a lot of people. But my experience is actually so different to that. So I did play COD 4, didn't really play the campaign at all, and what I do remember is playing a 3-person split screen in the living room. That's pretty much the most exposure I got to COD 4. And I never actually picked it back up when I started playing the later titles either. And I never actually played online apart from 1 or 2 games at this show that I was at, which was to do with planes. So it was very, very different, and it was the only time I actually played multiplayer with COD 4. So my experience is actually very different when it comes to COD. And very similar story with World at War, to be fair. I didn't actually play World at War when it came out, and I didn't actually get World at War until after Modern Warfare 2 came out. And it's a really weird story. So basically, Modern Warfare 2 was the first proper Call of Duty game where I played online, where I was in, online lobbies all the time. And it was the start of me getting Call of Duty on every Christmas day. Playing the campaign Christmas Day morning, and then jumping into multiplayer after, obviously, I've had my Christmas dinner. But where World at War comes into my history is actually one of my friends at school gave me one of their broken copies of World at War. I don't remember why they gave it to me, but they did. And it was only broken with the campaign. You couldn't get past a certain level in the campaign. But I didn't really mind that because I was actually just invested in zombies in World at War. And this was back when Microsoft points were a thing, when I was playing it on Xbox 360. And you had to go to the shop, buy a Microsoft points code to get like the DLC. So all the different zombies maps. And I was hooked on zombies. And I had a really strange cycle of alternating between World at War and Modern Warfare 2 in that game cycle, because I wanted to go back and play zombies, but also at the same time, I played a lot of multiplayer on Modern Warfare 2. And Modern Warfare 2 online, I mean, just peak gaming, honestly. Like, those games and playing Search and Destroy all the time, that's what I always used to play, just because I like to do that. And just like, 360s, no scoping, and all of that good stuff in online lobbies, which Modern Warfare 2 lobbies were unmatched. I had some of the funniest moments in game chat, especially in Search and Destroy, just by playing that game. And, you know, you really start to see how angry people can get and the sorts of things that they'll say when they're angry as well in those lobbies. And I actually miss those days, I'm not gonna lie. And again, the run of good COD games came along with Black Ops as well. I got that on Christmas Day. Again, annual Christmas present. And I remember loving having the choice between jumping between multiplayer on Black Ops and the zombies as well. And the zombies was incredible on Black Ops. And I just absolutely loved it. And you just jump on with your friends. I think Black Ops was actually the game that I played the most zombies on, because I got the Ascension map, and Ascension is one of my favorite zombies maps ever. Might be a bit controversial, not everybody likes it, but I absolutely loved it. I even liked jumping in solo on the Ascension map, which for me, zombies solo isn't the most fun thing in the world. I do prefer playing it with other people, but I also remember when I was playing Black Ops, I had a dial-up internet connection. For those of you that don't know what that is, essentially it was a internet connection that was also connected to your phone line. So anytime my home phone got a phone call, which was often, I'm not gonna lie, we had a very popular house phone. Every time we got a phone call, I would disconnect, which was annoying because you couldn't just join games back in those times. You had to just basically leave and lose all your progress. But those are some of the memories that I have of playing zombies, is actually feeling frustrated when that would happen. Because nowadays I don't really care. If I disconnect, I disconnect. It's one of those things. But back then, because it was 2010, I was a teenager and I was gaming a lot, it felt like everything. And one of the pinnacles of my teenage years was actually Modern Warfare 3. And I liked Modern Warfare 3. I don't think it was as good as MW2 or Black Ops, to be honest, in my opinion, but I did still love Modern Warfare 3. And I remember when it first came out, me and one of my friends, we actually decided to stay up all night on a school night and play it, and then probably get like 2 hours sleep and then wake up early before we had school to then play it again. And then just went to school as if nothing happened. Probably wasn't the best decision. I don't remember what that school day was like. I imagine it wasn't great, and I imagine I was really, really tired. But then as soon as I got home, I just went straight back onto COD again. And those are some of the biggest and most fondest memories I have of gaming in my whole life, basically. You know, coming home from school, just jumping onto a game of COD, no worries in the world, and kind of helping me to de-stress. Even though I was taking multiplayer really seriously, I've never took it seriously to a point where I'd start stressing if I was losing or anything like that, because I was just having fun with the game. But Black Ops 2, now what can I even say? Because the Black Ops 2 era for me was just peak life. I was 15, so pretty much half of my life so far, because I'm 29. I had the Triton detonator headset. I remember that vividly. It was one of my favorite ever headsets that I've ever owned, and I still remember it to this day. And now, obviously, that headset probably wouldn't be that great. You know, there's so many better options out there, but at that time, it was one of the best headsets that you could have got. And I think I loved that headset so much because I'd saved up so much of my pocket money to go and buy that headset that it just felt so special. And Black Ops 2 comes out, and one of my family members, I just was doing really well at school. You know, I was smashing it. I was, you know, on track to get straight A's, which didn't happen, but that's another story. And I was smashing it, absolutely smashing it. So one of my family members decided to come upstairs with a copy of Black Ops 2 on release day, which I'd never had before. I always had to wait until Christmas, and my favorite dessert, and said, do you know what? Have a late night, new Call of Duty's come out, and we know how much you love it. Go play. And it's the first time that I've not played a campaign before the multiplayer, because I was so excited. I just wanted to put on my headset, start playing, play a load of games of Black Ops 2. And oh my god, if I could go back and play Black Ops 2 in its current game cycle, so it was the popular one where it had the most players and everyone was playing it, I would 100% go back just for a couple of hours and to just experience that again, because that was one of the peakest parts of my gaming life. And Black Ops 2 is actually the COD game that I spent the most time on and actually got the furthest on in multiplayer because I got to max rank. And it's the only one that I've actually done that on. There was just something about Black Ops 2 that just hit different, and I can't even describe what it was because it was just a Call of Duty game. And let's be honest, they're pretty simple. It's a first-person shooter. Shoot, keep people, kill people, die, respawn, do it all over again. But it was just insane, and it was more the feeling than anything. And I think, to be honest, for me, this is where it peaked and where it started to go a little bit downhill. But let's talk about that. Now, COD Ghosts, I actually don't think was a bad Call of Duty game at all. I do think some things were overhyped, and it was overhyped as this next-gen Call of Duty game, and turns out actually it was pretty much similar to what we had already had before. There were a lot of criticisms for that game. I think, to be honest, they were unwarranted. I don't think it's a bad COD game at all. But this one for me was slightly different because it was the first time that I'd bought a COD game on PC. So I just got a job, got my first job, and I decided to build myself a PC. And then I got Call of Duty Ghosts on release day because obviously I had money to do that. I could buy it on release day now. And on PC, I've learned my lesson about COD games on PC very quickly, is the fact that at that point in time, they weren't very optimized. I even made a video with the settings that you should be using, and it's the highest viewed video on my channel, to be fair. So something good did come out of COD Ghosts, but also it was hard to capture, so you couldn't use OBS. I remember that. It didn't work properly. You had to use different screen capture softwares. But because the game didn't run well and it wasn't very optimized at all anyway, it was hard to keep up to 60 FPS, which is something that you need in a COD game. But also, you couldn't capture it. And if you did start to capture, you would start to lose some FPS. But then when you stopped capturing, it was so stuttery if you didn't have the right settings, and you had to turn your settings all the way down anyway. So I might as well have just bought it on my Xbox 360 at the time. And that's one of the things that probably turned me off from the series and started my complicated relationship with it, because I barely played COD Ghosts, I'll be honest with you. I got to Prestige 1, maybe. I can't even remember, but I know that I didn't get very far with it. And that's just because I couldn't enjoy it on the platform that I wanted to play it on. But then things did actually get better on the PC front with Advanced Warfare, and I put a lot of time into it, to be fair. And I bought it on Steam, got it on day of release again, like I have with the other COD games recently. Played it with a controller, like I wasn't used to PC gaming at the time. And I actually really enjoyed Advanced Warfare. And it gets a lot of hate, and I don't think it should. I think it was actually truly the first next-gen COD game after COD Ghosts. And it seems like they kind of learned from their mistakes, even though obviously it was a different developer. And this was the first one that Sledgehammer Games actually developed themselves. And I didn't hate it. I actually really liked the game. The exosuit movement, I actually really liked playing. You could do some different maneuvers and trick people and jump around, bounce around and stuff like that. And I liked it. I thought it was really good. Advanced Warfare had loot boxes though, which was the start of the end, but it is what it is. I feel like you could only get them through playing. I can't remember if you could actually buy them, and it was a bit strange, but you know, I remember watching FaZe Jev do a loot box opening, and that was fun because he just rages all the time. And he always makes good videos. And then Black Ops 3, I actually went back to console for this one. I got myself a PS4. I wanted the best of both worlds. I was also getting really into FIFA at this point as well. I was already kind of a mixture of COD and FIFA for a few years at this point. I started playing it properly on the Xbox 360, but that was towards the end of me owning my 360. So I got back into console gaming as well, and I was playing FIFA and COD and kind of switching between the two. And Black Ops 3 made me feel a little bit like I did with Black Ops 2, but I was a bit older now. I was a few years older. I was, 19, going out on town all the time, and I wasn't really putting my whole focus into gaming at this point. And then when I was gaming, I was playing a lot of FIFA. Maybe it was just the nostalgia and the hype of Black Ops 3, but I loved it, to be honest. The different characters, the different hero abilities and stuff like that. I know it's not called that, but I just made an Overwatch reference. It is what it is. But anyway, on the day of release, I think I got over Prestige 1 and pretty much just didn't play it after the first week. And I don't know why. Maybe it's obviously for different reasons. I was a bit older, didn't really put that much time into the game. I was playing loads of other games at the time as well. It was 2015. There was a lot of things coming out at that time. But this was actually the starting point of where I stopped playing Call of Duty. And even though I did buy Infinite Warfare and I bought it so it would come to me on the day of release, I even fell down the stairs when the delivery came because I was really excited to play it. I probably played like 40 minutes of Infinite Warfare. I just didn't really click with it, and I'm gonna be honest, I hated it. It wasn't good. And I didn't actually play another Call of Duty game up until Black Ops 6. I played a little bit of Warzone when that came out, but for me, I feel like that was actually the start of the end of my relationship with Call of Duty. I feel like it just became really unserious, but just really unfun to play. And maybe that's because it went really competitive, and all you saw on YouTube and TikTok and all of that was, the best gun setups. These are the attachments that you need to have. This is the loadout that you need to have to get, 20 plus kills in Warzone and get a win every time. And I just didn't like playing COD like that. I liked just jumping into multiplayer, picking a class that I'd made, which probably wasn't even the best class. It was just guns that I wanted to use, perks I wanted to use, and equipment that I wanted to use. But all of that kind of went away when you came to that era between Black Ops 3 and between Black Ops 6. And for me, I just completely lost interest. And probably because of that reason, because it became so competitive and it wasn't just a casual FPS game anymore. And I do think that's also a test to the way that gaming is nowadays anyway. I mean, other games it happened, like Fortnite, I really got into that, and I haven't played that since because that just got way too competitive. And if you didn't put all of your possible remaining, spare hours outside of work, then you'd get behind and then you'd start to get basically below the power curve. FIFA, exactly the same, got to that point where if you weren't spending pretty much every moment after 6 o'clock, when the new content came out every single day and you came behind, if you didn't play it for 2 weeks, your team would be behind. And I feel like pretty much all of the popular franchises that I liked playing got into that trap. But Call of Duty was the one that I was pretty much the most disappointed with, because I just loved being able to just jump on a COD game, have a few games, have a bit of fun, and then not have to worry about anything. I think as well it was just getting really samey, and I know that's not a word, but everything just kind of felt the same every single time, and it wasn't really, enticing me the way that it would before. That is until we get to Black Ops 6. Now, Black Ops 6 pulled me back into the franchise. I don't know what made me play it. Maybe it was because it was just free on Game Pass and I was like, do you know what? Let me just give it a go. Let me just jump on and play some COD. And it became my main game for a long time. And it came out at a good time as well, because I was starting to really feel the decline in my mental health when it came to playing FC, FIFA, whatever you want to call it. And I wanted something different to put my time into. And Black Ops 6 actually revived my love for the Call of Duty series. And this is what I mean about it being a roller coaster relationship, is it just got away from itself for a long time. And then Black Ops 6 came out and it really made me feel like the way I felt before when I was playing the Call of Duty games. But then that feeling was really ruined when Black Ops 7 came out. I don't know what it is about Black Ops 7, and to be honest, it doesn't feel a whole lot different to Black Ops 6, but I just never clicked with it. And I've tried it a few times. I've installed it a few times and tried to get on with it, play a few games, and I just can't get on with it. I don't know why. It just feels different. But Black Ops 6 felt really, really good, and I really liked playing it. And you can see from the gameplay that we've had in this whole video that, you know, I was enjoying COD again. And that's why at this point my relationship is very up and down with it, because even in the latest releases where I got a bit of hope with Black Ops 6, Black Ops 7 came out and that was just straight doo-doo for me. I just didn't like it. And Modern Warfare 4 is coming out and I'm just like, do I even bother? Do I even bother risking liking it or not and paying all that money for a game that I probably potentially won't even like, because this one's not coming on Game Pass, so I can't just install it and play it. And from what I've seen, I'm intrigued. If I'm being completely honest, I'm intrigued with Modern Warfare 4. But I think, just to save myself from the disappointment, I'm gonna play the beta and see what the beta's like. And if I like the beta and I put hours into it, then I probably will get the game. But I just want to see how it feels on Modern Warfare 4. And I just hope that actually Modern Warfare 4 can bring me back into a franchise that I've loved for years. And I'm just hoping that I can be brought back to the way that I felt previously with Call of Duty games. I simply just want to, after a long day of work, to sit down, play a couple of games of COD, not have to worry about different classes, what's meta, and all of that stuff. I just want to jump on, shoot some stuff, and just chill. I just want to chill. That's what I want from my Call of Duty games, and I hope that Modern Warfare 4 can do that for me. And I think what could revive the series for me is just making a good game. And I know that sounds really, really simple, but because it's an annual franchise, it felt really copy and pasty a lot of the time. But now it has an opportunity to not do that. If you've made it this far, you've made it to the end of the video, pop in the comments what your thoughts are on Call of Duty and your story with the Call of Duty franchise.